name is Mumia Abu-Jamal. I'm a journalist, a husband, a father, a grandfather, and an African American. I live in the fastest growing public housing tract in America. In 1981, I was a reporter for WUHY-FM and president of the Philadelphia Association of Black Journalists. Currently, I'm a writer and public radio commentator. I've been a resident on Pennsylvania's death row for more than 15 years.
To break free is to begin to heal the broken inner self, to save the soul from dancing with shaitan.
But you see,
the battle wages on.
The battle wages beyond.
As we sit unified,
in trying to identify,
minutes are ticking away and seconds fly by.
And I can hear the piercing cry for freedom when thinking twice about sparing a dime.
Signing on a petition
posting
line,
a flyer,
speaking out for what's right.
Raising her hand to question what's wrong.
When thinking twice could lose yet another life. Mumia Abu-Jamal
sits framed beyond the solitary confines of his cell walls for crimes he never committed,
but instead for words he admitted, speaking out,
for the silence,
teaching others,
to find strength,
fighting back,
against brutality,
standing up,
against injustice.
Mumia Abu-Jamal,
a people's hero, sits awaiting an unwarranted execution.
Signed by injustices draped in death cloths. Minutes are ticking away and seconds fly by.
Let me bring it back home.
He is innocent. Kwang Chung Kao, an innocent civilian,
Asian man,
shot to death in shady Sonoma County circumstances by brutal badgers in front of his own home.
They claimed he appeared to take a threatening martial arts stance.
Kwang Chung Kao,
father,
husband,
neighbor,
hero to his children.
Let me bring it back home.
He is innocent.
As we sit unified
and trying to identify,
minutes are ticking away and seconds fly by.
But you see,
the battle wages on.
The battle wages beyond. To break free
is to begin to heal the broken inner self.
To break free
is to save the soul from dancing with shaitan.
But you see,
the battle wages on.
The battle wages beyond. To break free
is to learn about the self.
To learn to extend the self.
To extend the self beyond the systematic doctrines they feed you.
Beyond these city walls.
Beyond your circle of friends.
To extend the self to fight for freedom.
To fight a system that enlists soldiers to step on those deemed
less than pure. To release our rage.
Unleash our voices.
Refuse and resist.
Stand in solidarity.
Those who persist to deny us our right to cry for justice.
To fight for freedom.
To live for peace.
To live for peace.
As we sit unified
in trying to identify,
minutes are ticking away and seconds fly by.
From death row, this is Mumia Abu-Jamal. You remind me of my Jeep, I wanna wax you, babe. Remind me of my bank account, I wanna spin you, babe. That's from You Remind Me of Something by R. Kelly. The song is smooth, with a funky bottom and a sexy lead vocalist. Why does it grit my teeth every time I hear it? Well, it's not because I'm, as one of my sons put it, an old man who just can't interpret the young whippersnappers. That said, I must admit I'm more at home with R&B, with the soft significance of an Anita Baker or even Brownstone, singers like Sade and, yes y'all, Whitney. I also enjoy much of rap for its vitality, its rawness, its irreverence, and its creativity. Rap is an authentic descendant of a people with ancient African oral traditions, from griots who sang praise songs to their kings, to bluesmen who transmuted their pain into art. For a generation born into America's chilling waters of discontent, into the 1970s and 80s, into periods of denial, cutbacks, and emergent white supremacy, one must understand how love songs sound false and discordant, out of tune with their gritty survivalist realities. When their mothers and fathers were teenagers, Curtis Mayfield sang, "We're winners, and never let anybody say that you can't make it, 'cause some people's mind is in your way. We're moving on up." Earth, Wind and Fire in exquisite harmony, "Keep Your Head to the Sky," and Bob Marley and the Wailers thundered over rolling bass line, "Get up, stand up for your rights." The hip-hop generation came into consciousness on Tina Turner's "What's Love Got to Do With It?" or an egocentric mix that glorified materialism, like Run DMC's My Adidas about a pair of sneakers, or Houdini's friends, how no one can be trusted. Their parents grew up in the midst of hope and black liberation's consciousness. The youth grew up in a milieu of dog-eat-dogism, of America's retreat from its promises, of Reaganism and white right-wing resurgence. In that sense, rap's harshness merely reflects a harsher reality of lives lived amidst broken promises. How could it be otherwise? At its heart, though, rap is a multi-billion-dollar business permeating America's commercial culture and influencing millions of minds. It is that all-American corporationism that transforms rap's grittiness into the gutter of materialism. A woman, a living being, reminds a man of a thing, a car. That, to me, is more perverse than the much criticized bitches and hoes comments. This is especially objectionable when one notes that in America, in the last century, in the eyes of the law, blacks were property, chattel, things like wagons owned by whites. That a black man, some 3 generations later, could sing that a black woman, his God-given mate, his female self, could remind me of my Jeep amazes me. This isn't, nor could it be, a condemnation of rap. The late Tupac Shakur's Dear Mama and Keep Your Head Up are shining examples of artistic expressions of loving oneness with one's family and people. Creative, moving, loving, funky, angry, and real are that late young man's works, as is a fair amount of the genre. Like any art form in America, it is also a business with the influences of the marketplace impacting upon its production. The more conscious its artists, the more conscious the art. Keep your head up. From Death Row, this is Mumia Abu-Jamal.
Mr. Augustus Baxter is a member of the School Board of Philadelphia, which has, at this point in time, a majority of students who are black. That exact percentage is close to 70%. My question to you, and the realm of questioning, will deal with, does the school board, that is, the educational system, the Board of Education, deal with that reality? If so, how does it do it? If it has shortfalls, how does it fall short of those goals?
Part of the problem in the system is that most board members recognize the racial composition of the system, but the system is still a predominantly white system operated and supported for the white community. For example, I would say that District 8 seems to carry more weight than the other 7 districts combined. That's possibly because there is a large percentage of board members who live in District 8, but it seems like most of the political support and things that come from District 8 brings great attention to the board, and the board wants to find reasons to resolve any problem dealing with District 8. My concern as a school board member is that every district requires equal attention. However, the school system itself is undergoing transition, and they are now faced with the reality that we've got to develop the kind of things that meet and suit the needs of the children who are the majority within the public school system.
You've seen the living conditions here. You've seen the homes of many of the tenant leaders and many of the people who are not even active in the tenant organization. What's your feeling on what you've seen here?
I feel the whole total problem is inhumane for any people to live on the conditions that exist here at East State Street Village.
What comes to mind when you think about possible solutions to the problem?
Possible solution is to condemn this place and move people out of here as quickly as possible.
In your feeling, your estimation, where do they go from here?
Well, HUD has available properties throughout the city of Camden, and the city also have property that could be renovated for people of East State Street Village.
So you think solutions can come both by federal and city means for the residents?
Exactly, without bureaucratic red tape, which people out here at East State Street Village don't need at this time.
Thank you.
Mumia Abu-Jamal's words have been censored. Prison officials have banned his voice, and so I will read to you one of his essays. The rich rob the poor, and the poor rob each other. Sojourner Truth. Why did the government launch its attack on the welfare system? What was behind its rhetoric? If you analyze it closely, you'll find the push for this policy came from American business. Here's why. The business cycle is crucial to capitalist economies. Back in 1958, an economist noted that when unemployment rises, wages fall. This is so because when most workers are employed, business is pressed to react to wage demands. However, when there is significant unemployment, business knows they can find labor at lower wages. Thus, unemployment drives down wages for all workers. What does this have to do with welfare? Well, welfare is a form of income maintenance, and as such, it served as a buffer between the employed and the unemployed. Therefore, workers were not desperate for any job they could find. When workers are not desperate, when they have security, they demand higher wages from capital. Who would have thought that the poorest among us, those on welfare, strengthened and stabilized the wages of workers? It's for this reason that capital launched its attack on income maintenance programs through its political agents, Republicans and Democrats, using the sleight-of-hand label of welfare reform. Both parties of big business joined hands in the battle against the poorest, egged on by big business media conglomerates. Why do you think every time news comes out about low unemployment, Wall Street panics and stocks tumble? When masses of people are unemployed, that's called good for business. How can bad for people be good for business? So what is to be done? The French unemployed took to the streets nationally. This remarkable mobilization showed the power of a movement of unemployed. That movement leaped across the border to Germany, where marches sprung up in over 200 cities. We can learn from the French, who did not hesitate to organize and mobilize the poor and unemployed. The slogan of the French may not translate well to us here, but it bears repeating. Who sows misery reaps rage. The politicians ain't the solution. The people are. Let us organize.
Imagine a trial where the defense lawyer sleeps during the proceedings. Unfortunately, one doesn't have to imagine, for a number of people now know about quite a few cases where lawyers have slept in court during murder trials. The clients were convicted, appeals were denied, and they were later executed. Imagine a trial where the defense lawyer was drunk or on drugs. As in the case of sleeping lawyers, the courts of the land have traditionally found a drunk or drug lawyer to be an insufficient basis for reversing a conviction. Men have been executed in the United States of America after trials by judges where their lawyer was either drunk or drugged. Needless to say, these examples are serious challenges to the idea that some defense lawyers serve the interests of their clients first and foremost. From North Carolina comes a case that makes drunken, drugged, or even sleeping lawyers look like paragons of virtue. It was in the post-conviction hearings of Russell Tucker that David B. Smith, Esquire, was appointed for his defense. Shortly after meeting his client for the first time, Smith would later note, quote, "At the end of the visit, I decided that I did not like Mr. Tucker," unquote. Smith, a former prosecutor for over 20 years, would later state in a sworn affidavit, "My own beliefs against capital punishment were severely challenged as I read the trial transcripts in preparation for post-conviction relief. That research and preparation led him to the conclusion that, quote, Mr. Tucker should be executed," unquote. Smith's affidavit stated his wishes cleanly. Quote, "I decided that Mr. Tucker deserved to die, and I would not do anything to prevent his execution," unquote. Smith then deliberately missed a court deadline for filing an appeal in Tucker's case, thereby setting the stage for his client's execution. North Carolina set a deadline for Tucker that Smith couldn't ignore. an execution set for December the 7th, the year 2000, which has since been stayed. Smith, in his own words, had become an agent of the state. What pushed him to file was his client's pending execution. But what if Tucker was doing life? What if he was doing 10 years or 5 years? And what about the hundreds of men, thousands of women, an untold number of juveniles who had trials or appeals or any kind of proceeding where their lawyer hated them and acted as an agent of the state? What is rare is not defense lawyers who act as agents of the state, but lawyers who say they do. They serve the interests of the state, of the system. For how else can millions of their clients languish in jail cells across the nation? When lawyers may be drunk, drugged, or even sleep during trials, and courts are free to utter nonsense about the constitutional right of the assistance of competent counsel, what can such a right truly mean? So empty is that phrase that now a lawyer can double as defense counsel and prosecutor at the same trial. Meanwhile, as of this writing, Smith is still Mr. Tucker's attorney of record. Given the system, this is somehow fitting, isn't it? From death row, this is Mumia Abu-Jamal.
The writ of habeas corpus is the most precious gift that exists in this criminal justice system. The writ of habeas corpus is our individual key to that freedom. And the politicians have so whittled it down. Let me put it to you this way. If we should see on the evening news that the bank where we've been keeping our life savings have just been held up, what would we do? We'll holler bloody murder. I mean, we'll do everything we can to catch that thief and get our money back. You know what I mean? Because we're not complacent about it. We know that a theft has occurred. But why isn't the people of the United States today raising up an outrage that our freedom account is being looted? And so people must understand not only that the writ of habeas corpus is not just a piece of paper, but it was the key to my freedom. You know, the key that Mumia Abu-Jamal needs right now. And the only way that we will be able to get that, we must make the price so high that it be impossible to kill this man.
Whew! I am one of those revolutionary poets. Wield similes as shields, conceal steel in mixed metaphors. I am so fly. The consummate vowel consonant whore. I love the pounds and praise when I use sounds like raise to pray for raised truth, open doors of closed minds. Poetry I find fits sweet in the paradigm of the conscious performer. I, a young sage, on a stage to say to wage war, love the nucleus until plow. Fountains of blood-stained sidewalks while mind walks. Floods of memory, time warps the psyches of daughters and sisters and widows and mothers and fathers who've outlived their sons and sons who will never know where their old man was coming from because another man was like, plow, with his gun, your life's undone, plow. Penetrating flesh, bullets blessed by serve and protect slogan, I react. Lyrical shogun, unsheath, polysyllabic sword. I be Lord of the Fly, and I the fly fly words to the sky with precision passion. The poet imprisoned by his own cries and his own why. And by light of poetic prism grows fainter and fainter. Sound drowned like sand under full blue moon, midnight high tides and symphonies of plow. Striking down man on urban tracks. Course I react with the fly poem, take the fly photo, drive solo to the spot, give a finger to the cop, make the fly songs, do the fly dances with the fly Johns until flat-footed swine 4 deep, strike Diallo dead in NYC streets, and my ass is in here, freeing Mumia to the beach, and just freeing Mumia to the beat. I be trapped like spirits of selves who left middle passage hell and held breath until death was upon them. Like their souls, I am in between. Once clean conscious, now tainted blood red, the blood of dead men murdered by police police commissioned to preserve the peace, whose peace requires the elimination of men like me. Freeing Mumia to the beat of despair-driven culture songs, I, with the gift to manipulate words, move the crowd, uplift right wrongs, sound giving voice to pencil-painted thoughts, but see me now, wrought, ragged, like wing-clipped Texan bird dragging through the dirt, and echoes of no and hurt coming through, yet my muse bid me speak words, but my eyes telling me release blurs of blue steel. Blow! Another brother down, his mother's anguish cries. The soundtrack now as I write, right on, right on. I pray somebody's listening, see me, spoken word, preening, freeing Mumia to the beat. I am committed to the struggle, but am I dedicated to winning it? I, the fly, so fly, I sometimes get by with winging it. Diagnosed, poetic, schizophrenic, lyrics or clips, Pat got to use gifts. Plow! Another brother down, his mother's anguish cries. The soundtrack now as I write, right on, right on. I pray somebody's listening. I'm stuck, I need wisdom. Should I shut up and succumb to the system? Do I hop off the fence? Do my words make sense? Would my slugs make more? I am so fly, the consummate, vowel consonants, whore. I love the pounds and praise when I use sounds like rays, like amazing grace emerging from graveyards where brothers on fast track finally get to rest. A bit of poet black and bid him speak, freeing Mumia to the beat. And I wonder if that brother has enough to eat. And Diallo dead on NYC streets. And I got metaphors and similes in my poetry piece. What I really need is slugs in my poetry piece, cause I can write my ass off, but I just cannot sleep, cause all I hear is gunshots. 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 Gunshots, gunshots.
No, I'm just talking about like what happened tonight.
I turned the corner. Here's the police standing with a big oak stick, and he had it draw back as though, like, as I was turning, he's gonna hit me in the face or the mouth, you know. I look, you know. Next thing you know, he say, "Yeah, look at him." I ain't say nothing to him. He wanted us to say something, give him a reason, like just say, "Well, let's see, officer, you can't, don't say nothing to me." That's the reason for him to jump on you, to him. You know, which is not to me, because I'm only minding my business trying to get away from him. Now, as far as that killing the young brother, the boy didn't deserve to die, man. He didn't. And he got one life to live. That was a gift. They need to do to that police officer is get with him right, you know, because right now they all for themselves, man, all for themselves. If a police jump on me right now and I told this police jumped on me for no reason, I couldn't be right no way. That's their justice system. I don't know why that's their justice system. When they say United States is supposed to be a land of freedom, peace and justice, we get a piece of hell. But we ain't got no breaks, man, none. And if we can't get that, what can we do? Stand up for our right. That's it. My name Terry, man.
How old are you?
See me I'm 22. You know something, bro? I thank you for the interview too, man.
I thank you for yours, you know.
The notion of manhood is an elastic one that changes and develops over time. At a very young age, black males learn from their interaction with others that something is amiss. The brilliant writer James Baldwin made just this point when he noted, "It comes as a great shock around the age of 5, 6, or 7 to discover that the flag to which you have pledged allegiance, along with everybody else, had not pledged allegiance to you. It comes as a great shock to see Gary Cooper killing off the Indians, and although you're rooting for Gary Cooper, that the Indians are you." For a young black male, this is potent knowledge that defines you and marks the trajectory in life. From this foul seedling of knowledge can sprout the noxious weed of alienation or the blossom of belonging. One can emerge with the poison of aloneness or the shared sense of commonality. As a 14-year-old, I joined the Black Panther Party and became part of a revolutionary formation dedicated to defending the black community. I felt like a man. I joined the party about a year after another young man, Bobby Hutton, was murdered by Oakland cops. And like Bobby, I was fully prepared to give my life in defense of the party and our people's righteous struggle for freedom and self-determination. Man then meant militant defense, service, and sacrifice for one's people, one's community, and one's party. Leaving the BPP, influenced by a deadly and fratricidal wave of party infighting that left young Panthers dead on both coasts, but occasioned by a love affair with a young Panther sister and her resultant pregnancy, meant redefining my manhood. It meant becoming a committed lover, companion, and father, and it meant the tortured mix of love and dread that marked the birth of a brown-skinned boy in this land. A feeling as perverse as it is terrible, a feeling as true as 2 and 2. In the ultra-macho world that is prison, manhood has many meanings, mostly the extent to which one can shield and mask feelings. No shield lasts forever. Slowly, almost imperceptibly, men who lost or never had fathers seek father figures amongst those whom they can trust, those who can teach them or give them a way to decode the maddening world that has been at war with them from birth, earn a trust that has rarely been given in a short, brutal life lived in cruel freedom. Man in shackles means griot, rememberer, teacher, decoder, and resistor. Young men who have not bonded with their natural fathers, and older men stripped from bonding with their natural sons, develop new, if somewhat tenuous bonds, by creating shadows of family in the netherworld. So, man has various meanings, depending on the stage of one's life. It is he who defends, one who serves, one who sacrifices.
Jerry is a spokesman for the Wheels of Soul, a motorcycle club in West Philadelphia. Give me some background, historical look at the forces that created the Wheels of Soul.
The club was started in 1967, started by just guys wanting to get together to ride. There got to be a lot of guys together. That common bond was built around the motorcycle.
Must you call anything for a story? Amnesty International just released a report that was pretty grim about children suffering for their parents' political belief in countries around the world. And I'd like to get your feeling on International Year of the Child. How has this year been?
The year, in terms of what it's done for children, has, as far as I've seen, been pretty ineffective. And it's brought a minimum of extra focus on the child. I think that we shouldn't need a Year of the Child to bring focus on the child, but, you know, we had one, and I don't think it really did anything.
So you think the UN Year of the Child Declaration was in essence a hype around the country?
I don't know if I go so far as to say it's a hype. I guess they did the best they could. But I'm more interested in the issues like incarcerated children, children being abused, like even school lunches, even when school lunches are bad. That's even, you know, okay if you're trying to change something. I thought that it was just too light. It wasn't concerned with the real problems. It was kind of concerned with starvation, which was good. I think that was the only good aspect of it.
What he said was so clear, so true, that I had to stop everything and concentrate on his message.
We need masters in biology, zoology to overtake Illuminati trick knowledge, transform, reciprocate your mental state. Now make a date to overtake your objective. Show that through life that everything is connected, but not in categories, cause that's the devil's story. Symbols of cannibalism ruin your vision. Your thoughts formulate in your mind with no precision.
He paid a cruel price for what they call life. Dealt with it briefly, took him out that night. Some ask why, I'ma say they hate the look in his eyes. Like a child of ill omen, they want him crucified. The last on the battlefield, the last alive. Besides, they don't want the African to survive. Sabo, the son of Satan, was involved in the plot. Legalized the homicide, his soul gon'
the
rot.
attempted assassination of Mumia Abu-Jamal, they set him up. I come to find out, Tupac, they wet him up. Pharaoh, standing behind my curtains with a double barrel rehearsing. Ready for war now for certain. Biological warfare suits, black gas masks, black boots, half-ass become troops. My guns are dope, but warriors are booty now. Plenty thug, it's a fruity now.
Freedom is that cold road seldom traveled. By the multitude, we need to dig through this gravel so we can cultivate this food. Motivate a few of you fools, regenerate the mood. Free ourselves from mental bondage, free ourselves from family feuds. And follow me through this prophecy. Building our colonies where our pillars and columns be. Bigger than the Coliseum, I call them like I see them. The devil does a devil dance. Now they wanna murder Mumia, take action, it's the only chance.
They telling me, son, grab a gun or two. Money don't come to you. Stop rhyming about what white people done to you. Look, burn a blunt or two. Screw who you wanna screw. Do what you wanna do, and let sin win for you. Kill all that teaching. It's too much cheese to get. And if Jesus exists, just don't believe in it. Eat the bread of wickedness. Join the global Satanists. Give death row sentences to black revolutionists.
Now they will playing God, just to feel the power, not to justify that of you and I. Holding daggers up and letting you decide after passing information that's falsified. Stand behind a lie. What does it cost to die? What does it cost to live? Why do they specify these terms of why when they ain't the most high? What they fear they will kill, but the soul will never die.
Through seasons, legions and demons, bleeding heathens and even Stevens. I wandered through regions, these freezing evenings and grieving till breathing reasons would freeze cats like Cleveland. Now shit seeming like semen, sliding home on the deacon. Weaving my mental from potential through Mumia's mind. Behind these bars, diamonds scarred for the cause. I climb on 50 schemes to lock cats in Mars like dogs. The fog will clear like tears after a resolution. This daily flight through revolution.
You see, the capital thugs got nervous, cause he refused to be their servant. Cause he spit truth that shook heads and burned like black churches. Prose and verses, filled with a million black hearses. Watch, see the vision of Dred Scott as it reverses. So long as they rope is tight around Mumia's neck, let there be no rich white light we bound to respect. Cause and effect, can't you smell the smoke in the breeze? My panther, my brother, we are at war until you're free.
My motherfuckers to the front line, ready with guns cocking. We'll storm the prisons, get the wards rocking. Snipe all the FBI and cops clocking. Philly officials' bodies dropping. Avenge the 85 bombing. Eye for an eye, we'll hang them by the Capitol steps. Snap their necks, snatch their vests, equip my children with text. People protecting feds, calling murder legal execution. Free the righteous, I face the bloody revolution.
Federal indictment, militant mind, enlightenment. Son, we outburst in the courtroom, full of excitement. Face the jury, thugged out with blind fury. They want us all under the jail, end of the story. Brave and heartless, we can have a million marches, but when you black, you under attack, son. Regardless, live by the gun, done, and die by the gun, and revolutionize minds until freedom won.
Scream bloody murder inside of my head. The execution is clock controlled by the feds. Take illegal action, they want Mumia dead. This nation's savages been trying to kill us for years.
We watch wizards play games in Washington with your life. Swung with Spider-Man, now we swing websites. Hell's Kitchen, living ill-conditioned body cloning, switching CIA lynching, Mumia trapped in prison. Marilyn Manson, mainstream aliens visiting. My skin's a misdemeanor when Siren B screams. And wonder why the live channel got attitude. The times got us heated like 0 degrees latitude.
Can you keep a secret like society? The eye is on the rooftop. They got me in the surveillance like they had Biggie and Tupac. Yo, I saw 2 rocks, heard 2 shots, the level of my view dropped. They crazed me but didn't faze me, I fired back and hit 2 cops. Yo, I bubble through the jungle like Indiana Jones with the key that unlocks the science. On microphones, hit reverse, disperse. Hysteria on planet Earth because the first shall be last and the last shall be first.
Yo, if Mumia dies, fires in the skies, rebel cries, we politicize. Brothers with the lies uncovered. Look for me in the whirlwind. Dare to struggle, dare to win. Long live the Panthers, comrades with answers. Freeing all political prisoners of war. Freeing the poor, open the door. Keep your hands off Assad, stop the ism, schism, prison economy.
president. Keep on fighting till they give in.
I say the police, cause they've been killing us for years. This ain't no free country. Niggas get murdered for their ideas. Free Mumia means all Africans let go. Cause just living in the ghetto put you on death row. You don't know? You seen how they try to do a solder to some real organize themselves and win and got a lot of crackers verbalize if Mumia dies. Fire in the skies, but only time will tell the truth from the lies.
And you keep the illusion, cause I see my people's losing the overall battle to keep Republic rats from choosing. After all, I feel the bruising of the Constitution with my back's against the wall, manifesting in their destiny. They just tested me, Mumia spirit blessing me. No alibi, I know allies, not their ally. I believe I can fly, but that type of freedom is a lie. So f the government, CIA, and FBI. In the holy month of Ramadan, doing Darwin degrees. Within the means of God's speed, feel the supreme penalties. Black non-fiction remains the weapon of choice. Reject the illusion of justice, and why is the black voice? The passion behind the veil, the flesh behind the bars, the spirit in front the force. Who's deaf and who's cause? Break the black man down in front of black famine all. Guilty as you all, free Mumia Abu-Jamal.
Shaitan will destroy anything for the right price. In the physical world, one man cannot die twice. To the spiritual world, your soul cannot fly twice. Yet could this be the second time they crucify Christ? Ask Ed Asner, the actor, after they execute him. There will be a peasant uprising like the French Revolution. In conclusion, if you detect evil, free the voice of the voiceless, defender of oppressed people. They want us knocked, locked down, boxed up in the ground. It's wartime now, from how to suffer and sound. We deep in the realm, the planet petrified, overwhelmed. We all stars, living life out on surveillance film. New world law enforced, mind rape, cerebral holocaust, no escape. Fire for burn, the execution date shatter. We on the front lines prepared. I want Mumia out the cage, the time for action is here.
This is a PSA to the PSC and the PPD. Mumia Abu-Jamal must be set free. How would y'all like it if we took it to the streets in a discreet fashion, still smashing underground arsenal of lyricists, live from death row? We want the voice of the voiceless, fully clothed and ready to go. And if not, you will witness the largest uprising you've ever seen before. April 24th, 1954.
Good evening. From National Public Radio in Washington, I'm Linda Wertheimer.
And I'm Bob Edwards with All Things Considered. Both President Carter and Ronald Reagan will campaign in Virginia today. Mumia Abu-Jamal reports on the president's stumping in Pennsylvania yesterday.
Lansdowne is a largely Republican district located above the southwest section of Philadelphia in Delaware County. It is here that Carter came yesterday to the suburban Essex Street home of Mr. and Mrs. Joseph and Bertha Phillips.
We've had good luck already with a so-called multilateral trade negotiation settlement on textiles.
Of his major opponent, Republican candidate Ronald Reagan, Carter strongly criticized his stand on SALT II talks and the nuclear arms escalation.
And now for a potential president to advocate a nuclear arms race is a shocking thing to many people, and of concern to me just the atmosphere in our own country.
Carter left the open-air event to attend a $1,000 a plate dinner with party bigwigs in Center City, Philadelphia's Fairmount Hotel. For National Public Radio, this is Mumia Abu-Jamal in Philadelphia.
On National Public Radio.
This is the poem that NPR didn't want you to hear. It's called Another Nameless Prostitute Says the Man is Innocent, for Mumia Abu-Jamal, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Camden, New Jersey, April 1997. The board-blinded windows knew what happened. The pavement sleepers of Philadelphia, groaning in their ghost-infested sleep, knew what happened. Every black man blessed with the gashed eyebrow of nightsticks knew what happened. Even Walt Whitman knew what happened, poet a century dead, keeping vigil from the tomb on the other side of the bridge. More than 15 years ago, the cataract stare of the cruiser's headlights, the impossible angle of the bullet, the tributaries and lakes of blood, Officer Faulkner dead, suspect Mumia shot in the chest, the witnesses who saw a gunman running away, his heart and feet thudding. The nameless prostitutes know, hunched at the curb, their bare legs chilled. Their faces squinted to see that night, rouged with fading bruises. Now the faces fade. Perhaps an eyewitness putrefies, eyes open in a bed of soil, or floats in the warm Gulf Stream of her addiction, or hides from the fanged whispers of the police in the tomb of Walt Whitman, where the granite door is open and fugitive slaves may rest. Mumia. The panther beret, the thinking dreadlocks, dissident words that swarm the microphone like a hive, sharing meals with people named Africa, calling out their names even after the police bombardment that charred their black bodies. So the governor has signed the death warrant. The executioner's needle would flush the poison down into Mumia's writing hand, so the fingers curl like a burned spider. His calm, questioning mouth would grow numb, and everywhere radios sputter to silence in his memory. The veiled prostitutes are gone to the segregated balcony of whores. But the newspaper reports that another nameless prostitute says the man is innocent, that she will testify at the next hearing. Beyond the courthouse, a multitude of witnesses chants, prays, shouts for his prison to collapse, a shack in a hurricane. Mumia. If the last nameless prostitute becomes an unraveling turban of steam, if the judge's robes become clouds of ink swirling like octopus deception, if the shroud becomes your Amish quilt, if your dreadlocks are snipped during autopsy, then drift above the ruined RCA factory that once birthed radios to the tomb of Walt Whitman, where the granite door is open and fugitive slaves may rest.
Where are you from?
I'm from Germany.
What part of Germany?
Southern part of Germany, near the Black Forest, near Ulm, Stuttgart, southern.
Near Stuttgart?
Yeah, near Stuttgart. Was you over there?
No, my brother was over there.
Yeah.
When did you leave Germany?
Oh, I left Germany in 1942. I've been over there since. And war was bad. Oh well, war is hell. So it was bad over there. And I come from the farm. And I know nothing but working hard on a farm and not spoiled. You know, that's why I eat all the vegetables. Apples and everything. Yeah. Sometimes I wish I was there. You know, sometimes they say, oh, on birthdays they all get together, you know. And here I am on my birthday all alone, you know.
Sound like you miss your Germany.
Well, I miss working there on the farm, you know. I'm so used to working hard. I can't sit still. If I ever have to sit still, I couldn't take it. But sometimes life itself is not enough. You know what I mean? Sometimes just life itself is not enough.
A woman working to feed the homeless gets involved in a confrontation with transit cops down in a major metropolitan subway. She's accosted, manhandled, thrown to the ground, and held under restraint. Another woman has her window shattered by highway patrol when she doesn't move her car fast enough nor open her window on command. She is seized, handcuffed, and arrested. What makes these cases remarkable is the identity of the women described here. The first, in addition to being a political leader in her own right, is the wife of a United States congressman. The second, a prominent professional, is the wife of a Pennsylvania state representative. Both women are African American. Although charges were later dropped against these women, the very fact that they were treated so crudely, despite their prominence and influence, makes one wonder about how cruelly people without such influence are treated by agents of the state. The two events just described actually occurred in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. The first involving Philadelphia City Councilwoman Mrs. Janie Blackwell, the wife of freshman United States Democratic Representative Lucien Blackwell. The second involved a leading Philadelphia black lawyer, Mrs. Renee Hughes, past president of the prestigious Barristers Association, local affiliate of the National Bar Association, and wife of State Representative Vincent Hughes, That both cases were administratively resolved is of less importance than the fact the incidents occurred at all. Such incidents are but daily occurrences in the lives of black men and women in America, regardless of class, rank, status, or station in life. That cops can treat people so shabbily, indeed, the very people who literally pay their salaries and set their operating budgets, gives a grim glimmer of life where people have no influence, no clout, no voice. These cases reveal the cold contempt held by white cops for black men and women, even if those women are in positions of state power which are presumed to be in control. In truth, any control is illusory and is totally effervescent as power itself. Police are out of control. Black politicians are out of power. When these events occur, we can only conclude that if such events can happen to them, what of us? If people can watch the massacre of Move people on May 13, 1985, as police firebomb Move headquarters, the ATF FBI ramming and destruction of the Croatians of Waco, Texas in April 1993, and still claim the police are under control, then nothing said here will convince them. The police are agents of white ruling class capitalist will, period. Neither black managers nor black politicians can change that reality. The people themselves must organize for their own defense, or it won't get done. From Death Row, this is Mumia Abu-Jamal.
This essay was handwritten in a solitary confinement cell by a man awaiting execution. I would like to read you one of his illuminating commentaries that Senator Bob Dole and National Public Radio have tried to banish from the airwaves. In Philadelphia, Hank Fay's name is mud. Convicted of the 1981 rape-slaying of a girl child and subsequently sentenced to death, Fay has lived in a virtual netherworld beneath the usual hell that is death row. Marked as a baby rapist, he has had to withstand the loathing of the many who regard his crime as an act beneath contempt. Fay's odyssey into the underworld has not been an easy one. Bouts of suicide attempts have alternated with periods of an almost manic evangelical fervor, a living pendulum swinging between visions of hell and heaven, both just beyond his grasp. In late June 1995, while under his second death warrant and with a date to die in July, Hank would come face to face with the living personifications of his demons and his angel. Even while under an active death warrant with a date to die within 2 weeks, Fay was transferred to a Philadelphia city prison rather than the state prison at Graterford, as is customary. When he arrived, he was placed in a cell where the words, "Jamie Fay, rest in peace," were scrawled across the wall. Jamie Fay, a beautiful, troubled, love-starved young girl, beaten, murdered, and allegedly raped, was Hank Fay's 18-year-old daughter. She was barely 4 when he entered hell. There's more. From impish whisperings of those around him, he learned an astonishing fact, that the man charged with beating, killing, and raping his daughter was at this prison, and not merely in the same prison, but on the very same cell block. As if inevitable, Hank met Mark, and the hatred kindled over years melted into a rare compassion. "I hated him, Jamal," Fay confided. "But when I saw this kid, 18 years old, I realized what a hell he was in for. And also I thought about the pain I'd be causing his mother if I took something and struck him." In every prison in America, murder is no mystery. There are men on death row across the nation awaiting execution for killings committed in prison. Hank had 2 weeks of life left. What did he have to lose? "You know, Jamal, I looked at this 18-year-old kid, and I remembered the look on my mother's face when she was alive, when she came to visit me, the shame of seeing her son on death row. And I didn't have the heart to tell this kid, but I could see his mother looking at him the same way. And it hurt me, Jamal. It really did, man. What hurt you, Hank? What you mean? Well, it was two things. First, this was a setup. I was supposed to kill this kid. Why else would they put us on the same block? Come on, man. Second, the same people that put me on death row are going to put this kid on death row, but he don't know it yet. What did you tell Mark? I told him, I forgive you. And I told him to let his lawyer know it, and anything I can do to help him and keep him off death row, I'll do. How did you feel telling that boy that, Hank? You know, Jamal, I felt good. I felt like the better man, because the same system that plans to kill me, that plans to kill him, that same system that set us both up for me to kill him and for him to get killed, can't do what I did. Forgive. I loved my daughter, Jamal. She was my heart. But me killing that kid can't bring my Jamie back. And you know what else, Jamal? What's that, Hank? I wouldn't wish death row on my worst enemy.
Many Americans have a skewed perception of Japan, as skewed, perhaps, as many foreigners have of America, many of whom seem to expect cowboys and Indians. Of Japan, the image arises of the feudal samurai, the ritual harikari, visions of what Westerners like to call the inscrutable Orient. From such a martial, warlike history, one wonders what kind of justice system has evolved. Rates of homicide, rape, robbery, and theft are far, far lower than other industrial societies, such as the U.S., England, and Germany. Why are these rates so low in Japan? If America's conventional wisdom holds true, Japan must be building plenty of prisons, levying increasingly harsh sentences, and subjecting prisoners to draconian conditions, right? Wrong. University of Washington Law and Eastern Asian Studies professor John O'Haley, author of Mediation in Criminal Justice, opines that the Japanese veer away from retribution and revenge and towards restoration and social reconciliation. According to statistics published by the Supreme Court of Japan, the following median prison terms were returned for the following offenses. 1. Homicide, 5 to 7 years. 2. Robbery, 3 to 5 years. 3. Arson, 3 to 5 years. 4. Rape, 2 to 3 years. The median term for all criminal offenses combined was 1 to 2 years. Persons sentenced to prison rarely serve over one term in Japan. For example, in 1984, 64,990 persons were sentenced to prison. Of that total, 56% received suspended sentences, with less than 13% being subjected to prison terms exceeding 1 year. More surprisingly, 25% of those with suspended sentences were convicted of homicide or robbery, and of those convicted of arson or rape, 35% of the sentences were suspended. Only about 45% of all imprisoned persons serve full terms. American critics view the Japanese penal practice with incredulity, if not outright amazement, and hasten to note the sharp distinctions in culture between the U.S. and Japan. Curiously, American industrialists and economists raise few cultural barriers when attempting to incorporate Japanese business and managerial wisdom to the U.S. workplace. Seemingly, what works in a factory environment becomes unmanageable in the prison context. But truth be told, U.S. prisons are themselves in a state nearing physical, social, ideological collapse, as over 1 million persons serve sentences, many set to expire, if at all, far into the next century. U.S. prisons, far from being a place of restoration, are social sinkholes of despair, of degradation, of spiritual death. We could learn much from the Japanese, more than how to build a better mousetrap. From death row, this is Mumia Abu-Jamal.
Dr. William Birch is the president of the Medical Society of Eastern Pennsylvania, and the 190-member organization is making its feelings known, reference to Sarah Allen nursing home situation.
We found that there was one nurse and 2 aides for approximately 36 patients on one particular floor, and these were not patients who could walk or who could take care of themselves. These were patients who needed someone to bathe them, feed them, move them from the bed to the wheelchairs, and give them total care. On other floors, we found patients who were ambulatory. These were the biggest problems that we found today, in addition to the fact that the maintenance of the building, there have been obviously no one to clean. When you think of nursing home and the complaints that people generate regarding nursing homes, this is the situation that exists.
We talked a little before we began recording about a word you're not really crazy about, and why. Handicapped. What does that mean to you, and why are you not someone who likes to use that word?
Handicapped, to me, is like building a fence around a person and saying, now you may only function within the confines of that fence. To me, I am not handicapped unless the public makes me that way. And by that I mean, if I am, for instance, out doing my shopping and they have parking spaces set up for handicapped people, and some guy pulls in and says, well, I'm in a hurry, and could care less that there's somebody who might need that parking space to get a wheelchair out of a car, then I become handicapped. If I want to go into a public building and I can't get in because there are 12 steps and there's no one to get my wheelchair up those 12 steps, then I become handicapped. If I meet someone who looks at me and instead of seeing me as an individual, sees me as an abnormality, then I become handicapped. Only in that person's eyes. For that reason, I don't like the word.
The emergence of black political and institutional leaders in America presages a crisis of confidence. Black mayors, black city executives, black legislators, and black police officials are more numerous now than at any time since the Reconstruction era. This should be an African-American renaissance. Why then is African-American community life at such a low ebb? Why are black U.S. communities gripped in such obvious decline? Why are our people sinking in whirlpools of utter despair? There are many reasons why the world's wealthiest African people, U.S.-born blacks, are in such a vile condition. For reasons of length, only one will be here addressed: the critical crisis of confidence in black leadership. Initially, it must be recognized that far too many of today's black leaders are but carbon copies of the greater American political structure, in essence, politicians in blackface. They're trained by white peers to master the art of politics. Black poles all too often mimic their trainers rather than creatively acting to address the actual issues facing their black constituency. In short, they do not dare do what the times demand. They do not lead. Something is critically, violently wrong. What is wrong is that blacks have fallen victim to the shell game of color, the three-card Monte of complexion. We must examine the actions of black leaders to determine whose interests do they serve. When a black Pole sits in silence while repressive legislation is being enacted, whose interests does he serve? When a black police official allows racist death squads to eliminate black life with impunity, whose interests does he serve? When a black mayor wins office on black votes and then ignores their economic and social needs while fawning over big business needs, whose interests does he serve? All of today's black leaders owe their positions to the expressions of black discontent, rage, riot, and rebellion made by the nameless black many who took to the streets in the 60s. There would not be black mayors, black police chiefs, black Solons, black journalists, unless the black angry masses did not pound on the closed shuttered door of opportunity. They cracked them only so slightly to appease the angry black throng and quiet the ripples of discontent. Today, those who benefited from this age of rage have turned their backs on those who made it possible and embraced the class interests of their oppressors. It's past time for blacks to expose and work to remove these traitors in blackface. It's time for this modern-day minstrel's dance to end and for the people to decide their true leadership. From Death Row, this is Mumia Abu-Jamal.
on the move, and long live Giant Africa. Mumia is in prison on death row because he refused to stop telling the truth, because he wouldn't stop exposing the injustice and treachery of this system. And we ain't gonna sit back in silent frustration and watch them silence him permanently. We ain't gonna do it.
Get the facts of the case, get the truth and embrace it.
You make the call to free Abu-Jamal.
Get the facts of the case, get the truth and embrace it.
You make the call to free Abu-Jamal.
The people got the power's in the people, and we got the strength to overcome this evil that they spit on us. When South Africans rose up, the death penalty bit the dust. Even though cops hit on us, those that are oppressed just like us shouldn't quit on us. Reverse the curse before the shit gets worse, and assert ourselves before we be fizzled dust. Blown away by intimidation tactics, or scared into submission by brutality practice. Moves position on fighting is clear. We've been jail shot, killed, but goddamn it, we still here. Without being submissive, but being committed. Still fighting these brutality and sadistic bullies beating people like they did my brother Moo. We can put it into this, but the choice is up to you.
I say fuck the police like they Chris said, cause the truth is in their actions. They want us dead as they march on by and put the bullets in our hair, tattoos with bruising for hospital beds like they did Mumia on 12/9/81. That was the perfect time to birth this revolution.
That's right.
Freedom is for those who work for it, not for lazy people trying to lay back and ignore it. Trying to ignore the problems that we face, still running behind this American dream they chasing.
The dream they dream have turned to a nightmare, and with human ignorance they use for the wars they declare.
But I'm aware of the fact that they don't really care about the way we live. That's why Rendell was the mayor
of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the home of Time Ridge murder mania.
The home of Time Ridge murder mania. So get the facts of the case, get the truth and embrace it.
You make the call to free Abu-Jamal.
Get the facts of the case, get the truth and embrace it.
You make the call to free Abu-Jamal.
You make the call to free Abu-Jamal.
You make the call to free Abu-Jamal.
You make the call to free Abu-Jamal. We make the call to free Abu-Jamal. If we let them tell it, this is how the story would go. Mumia Abu-Jamal would not be on death row. Cause on December 9th, Mumia would have been killed, and Daniel Faulkner would still be beating people at will. The fact that the system want Mumia dead ain't cause they say he pull a bullet in Faulkner's head. It's cause of the information, the truth he spread. It's like a contagious virus that spread when said and affecting everybody that hear it. Exposing systematic bullshit, that's why the system fear it. Without a doubt, they fear the truth put out. They don't want you talking about what Dante Dawson was about.
Can't you hear the demon screaming when the truth is laid down? Threatening intimidation, trying to twist the truth around. You're wrong, you don't know the facts of the case. He reached for his gun, then they shot him in his face.
They can't make the evidence something is not.
That's right.
The girl was stabbed, Joe, she wasn't even shot.
That was definitely the case in the O'Connor case. Evidence was made up and O'Connor was framed up.
But if we let them tell it, nobody would know this, and Joe McGill, the prosecutor, would still be prosecuting
people just like he did during Mumia's case. The facts of the case they tried to erase, and half the evidence was just misplaced.
Other parts like Veronica Jones was intimidated into leaving the truth alone. What's fair about a trial full of witnesses who lie? That intimidation is just death in disguise.
But since we don't let them tell it,
and we tell it ourselves,
cause every time they tell it,
they lie like hell.
So Mumia telling himself
from his death row cell,
and we organize the masses
to rebel. We refuse and we resist, and we insist on doing this right because they ain't doing shit. Some say Philly will burn if Mumia dies, so they better tell her right before they ass is crucified.
Can't you hear the demon of Joe McGill screaming when you say Kenneth Freeman was on the scene?
Who was Kenneth Freeman? Let's take this off further. Was he on the scene when Daniel Faulkner was murdered?
Along with Mumia's brother, who was arrested and released. They let him go cause they had who they wanted and custody.
Who they had, who they wanted, they got, so they continued to go on with the scheme and plot.
Yo. But whatever happened to their conspiracy law?
They said fuck that law when they found out who they had was Mumia Abu-Jamal in their claw. If Tom Ridge signed to death warrant today, you can hear that demon screaming a mile away. Cause he knows that we bringing our constitution, and he know we going to get us there of execution. But ultimately, Mumia will be free, and we will see who the real powers be. I'm down with PE, so let's fight the enemy and fight to set Mumia Abu-Jamal free. So get the facts of the case, get the truth and embrace it.
You make the call to free Abu-Jamal.
Get the facts of the case, get the truth and embrace it. You make the call to free Abu-Jamal. Get the facts of the case, get the truth and embrace it.
You make the call to free Abu-Jamal.
Get the facts of the case, get the truth and embrace it. You make the call to free Abu-Jamal.
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 We make the call to free Abu-Jamal.
From death row, this is Mumia Abu-Jamal.
What if good old Mother Earth had only 30 days till the big last blast? That's the hub of the wheel around which a humorous and very human play brought to us by that dynamic Davis duo, Ozzie and Ruby, at the Playhouse in the Park revolves.
It takes a great deal of energy. And the piece is complex, you know, with the dances and the music and the book itself. This is the first time we've really pulled this podancicle together.
Take it from the top, a chance to begin again, to repudiate the greed, envy, and hatred that conspires to deprive each and all of us of our slice of humanity. That's the message, delivered in a warm and somewhat wonderful way.
Because at the bottom line, and I believe this, that it's not enough to believe that life is worth living or that the world is worth saving. Once you believe it, you got to get out there and do your part.
Ozzie Davis and Ruby Dee as they take it from the top. This is Mumia Abu-Jamal.
You can hear more about Ozzie Davis, Ruby Dee, and Take It From the Top on WUHY's Black Perspective program, Uhuru Sound, at 6:30 Saturday evening. Well, that's 91 Report for this evening. We'd like to ask you, by the way, to let us know what you feel about this show. It's the only program of its kind in Delaware Valley Radio, and you can write to 91 Report, WUHY-FM. The boycott at Center City, Philadelphia's fashionable Bijou Cafe continues. Mumia Abu-Jamal was there.
For the second time this week, nearly 100 protesters and supporters of the United Black Concert Promoters of America joined Air personality George Woods and State Representatives Milton Street and Dave Richardson for another night of a boycott of Center City's Bijou Cafe. The reason? Black promoters say they're treated unfairly when they attempt to promote big-name talent, either black or white. George Woods is the president of the group. The tall, slim broadcaster addressed those assembled thusly Tuesday night.
Brothers and sisters and friends, and even some of our enemies who are listening alongside you, we are here for a moral issue tonight. We tried to meet with these men 3 weeks ago. We told them it was serious, that we were not playing. And they laughed at us.
An obviously nervous Woods kept glancing towards the corner, apparently awaiting the coming of police in response to the Bijou's call for a restraining order against the protests. Tonight, Representative Richardson warned Bijou officials and factory personnel to expect a bigger and bolder boycott for the upcoming performance of a disco group known as Chic. So the controversy clearly continues. This is Mumia Abu-Jamal. You've been doing what you've been doing for quite a long time. By that I mean your music, for quite a long time here in the States. And there were people who remember your grazing in the grass days of the late '60s and what that meant to black people who were young and needed to hear different forms of music coming from black people in other parts of the world. How have you seen yourself as a musician?
I think of myself more as a very grateful person. I'm grateful, to God that I have the gift that I have. I look at it as a very spiritual thing. I give it a lot of respect, and I play with musicians who are very respectful of the art. I have a great reverence for it. So I don't really have what you would call a very complicated vision of it. I don't think of myself as a cultist figure. I don't think of myself as a person with a mysterious situation, I think myself mostly like as a part of the international black community that is my inspiration.
No reggae artist in the world has attracted the loving accolades of the dreadlocked Marley. Marley is truly a missionary, and his message, one of global black redemption, is contained within the music of Rastafari.
But there's an exodus from Babylon, ways of Babylon, and then the physical exodus to womb. You know? So what we really say is that we want the black people to unite with one another, then, and deal with it. Capitalism and communism are finished. It's Rasta now. The black man way of life. That's what we are saying, Dread. We are saying, give the black man theme way of life now. Make him show you how government run and how people care for people. Who you think of the love? Who sing the tune them in the church? The black people that sing them, you know. Who is the spiritual people on earth? The black people. Them are deal with God, and God not let them down. God did there, and God said them to unite, because when you unite, that is the power of God.
The music is militant, its beat moving, its message just is moving.